So I just voted for the first time as a Chicago resident.
That video right there came from MAGA country, that of course being Chicago, Illinois, where that young woman probably voted for the same political party that brought chaos to the city and is continuing it with its policies. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Zuckerdeski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into today, especially with an FTX update surrounding the latest crazy information coming from this larger scandal that I believe is a lot bigger than, of course, we actually even know about currently. As, of course, there also is a major shift in the Republican political party, with many people saying that we should end it, we should change the party, while others are saying that it might be too late for them, as I'm going to be arguing how the chances for Republicans having any kind of political victory here on out is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible. I'm going to be explaining that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media organization. And if you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the video we played in the beginning of this broadcast looks like it's from Justin Ward on TikTok, showing some disturbing footage coming out of Chicago, almost as disturbing as Dave Chappelle's monologue on SNL, according to the ADL. Yes, the ADL right now is wagging its finger and is mad at a comedian telling jokes that were hilarious and pretty funny, going as far as to even describe it as anti-Semitism when it wasn't. It was generally funny. It punched both ways, and no one else really saw a problem with it other than this organization that exists only as long as a problem exists that a lot of people accuse them of exaggerating. In related You Gotta Be Kidding Me news today, we're also finding out that a Twitter manager literally vomited and puked at his office when he was ordered to fire employees at Twitter. This, as it's also important to note that there have been massive layoffs at Facebook, new massive layoffs, firing 10,000 people at Amazon today, as it looks like the tech market is responding to the larger financial insecurities that everyone else is feeling, especially if you had your money in the FTX Bitcoin cryptocurrency exchange, which looks like it defrauded its users to the tunes of billions of dollars, a crime that normally would have someone seriously investigated, arrested, detained, looked into by all the federal authorities and agencies, and according to Elon Musk, that pretty much will not be happening here, because according to Elon Musk, there won't be any big investigation here, mainly because the founder here, Sam Bankman-Fried, and his mother were major donors to the Democratic political party establishment. And that's why this organization that defrauded everyone, that was promoted by former presidents of the United States like Bill Clinton, and even endorsed by the World Economic Forum as an official partner now, probably won't face any kind of large retribution for their horrible acts of robbing people of their wealth. It's also important to note that the World Economic Forum has officially scrubbed the page where they announced that FTX was working with them as an official partner, showing you exactly how transparent and accountable this globalist organization is, which the corporate media tells everyone we should be taking orders from. And it's important to note here, there was a lot of money here. Some of the money directly going into the Biden administration, into President Biden's own hands, some even running through Sam Bankman-Fried's brother. As of course, it's also important to note here that the mother was involved here as a major super PAC starter for the Democratic political party establishment. It's also important to note here that FTX allegedly also gave donations not only to the Democrats, but to also the Republican political party. And hey, protection money is not cheap. It's expensive, especially if you potentially might be doing money laundering with Ukraine and other large, unaccountable, unelected intelligence agencies, which is a topic I want to discuss more in detail on LukeUncensored.com. Yes, there's a possibility that this story is even more insidious, more insane, more crazy. We're going to be talking about those theories on LukeUncensored.com later on today. If you haven't signed up for our members area, what are you waiting for? You also get 3 master classes, an exclusive forum, exclusive access to upcoming events, merchandise that is only available at cost for you. This is literally where I am spending majority of my time working on content directly that is going to be the most interesting and fascinating piece of information that I could provide you, or information directed at equipping you with the right information to make the right moves in this crazy world that is only going to get a lot crazier. If you haven't signed up yet to LukeUncensored.com, what are you waiting for? Click the link down in the description below right now. And signing up is very quick and easy just by clicking the button right here. Now, going on to our main topic here, it definitely does look like the Republican political party is in a bit of a pickle, to say the least, as of course many people expected, as historically happens, a major recall of the Biden administration's agenda through of course the midterm elections that predominantly always work in the favor of the political party that is not in the executive office. This year, that didn't happen, as of course votes are still being counted, and it looks like the Democrats will be taking back the Senate and might even potentially take back the House themselves. This after 3 years of lockdowns and restrictions, record inflation numbers, a horrible economy. Really makes you wonder, what in the world is really going on here? This is extremely odd, but without even jumping into any kind of conspiracies, I think there's a logical explanation to what's happening here that I'm going to be explaining in just a little bit. But the turmoil within the Republican Party is so severe that even Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley came out and announced on Twitter that the GOP is dead. It is time to bury it and, quote, build something new. This, of course, after the dismal performance during the midterm elections. This, as of course, a lot of people blame the former president of the United States on the failure of this year's midterm, as of course many candidates officially endorsed by Donald Trump lost re-election. And is it fair to blame everything on Donald Trump? No, but there were a lot of things that he did wrong, like endorse celebrities over, of course, actual people who had skin in the game and had more real support. Trump fundraising for Blake Masters and giving him $1 of $100 donated to him predominantly wasn't a good look, especially when we find out in that race in Arizona, Blake Masters had a total of $12 million compared to, of course, nearly $80 million that was spent by his competitor, Mark Kelly, that looks like he won decisively in that major key campaign race. Now, it's also important here that the GOP Rhino establishment didn't really back Blake Masters, but Trump splitting donations with him, $99 going to him and $1 going to Blake, didn't help either. This, as of course, a lot of people are looking at Ron DeSantis becoming their new leader of the political party. This, as it's also important to note here that Ron DeSantis also endorsed candidates that didn't win. Is all of this failure totally to blame on Ron DeSantis? Is it totally to blame on Donald Trump? And I would say no, because we also have to understand that there has been a huge shift recently, especially with the way that American people have been voting, that is having a larger impact here that is worth talking about, especially when it comes to what I see as the Republicans not having any kind of political future from now. The Cato Institute wrote a very interesting article about ballot harvesting that I think is worth the read and considering when trying to understand the political landscape and how it has changed. Along with that, we also have, of course, mail-in ballots, which has allowed individuals to go door to door, especially in large buildings, and literally give people ballots, have them vote, collect their ballots, an effort legal in many U.S. states that was codified, especially by Facebook, that spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ensuring these kinds of practices that NPR has described as, quote, saving the 2020 election. Yes, NPR literally wrote an article describing how private money from Facebook has saved the 2020 elections from, of course, Donald Trump. These practices were also continued during these latest midterm elections and have changed the political landscape of this country, giving, of course, major urban areas and cities a huge advantage over, of course, suburban areas where it's very difficult to go person to person, door to door, as, of course, you have to drive long distances in order to do so and can't just walk down apartment buildings. Now, why did Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg do this? Well, obviously, they want an administration that is going to be more friendly to big tech social media. That administration, that political party is, of course, the Democratic Party. Knowing so, they essentially fortified a situation where the Democrats will have a stronghold, and along with that, so will be Facebook, that relies on the Democratic Party establishment looking the other way when it comes to them doing whatever in the world they want to do. And without any major changes to ballot harvesting, mail-in ballots, how do you see the situation changing in the next election? Well, I don't think it will. I think the Democrats will have it, and they also, of course, codify their political monopoly of control, especially when it comes to the same big tech social media companies that finance them and help them win an election, that is working in tandem with them censoring voices of conservatives and right-wingers. Now, of course, it's important to note here and talk about this issue very carefully, since a lot of people, especially people who are anti-war, anti-establishment on the left, in the center, and especially the right, have all been censored. But I think it's fair to say that overwhelmingly, people on the right were hit a lot more than people on the left. And you see these kind of policies being represented on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, which maybe might change, but still at the end of the day, the larger populist support base of the Republican conservative movement has been wiped off from the internet, not being allowed to have a voice, not being allowed to, of course, debate, have a conversation, which, of course, excludes them to the point where people don't even know about them or even know that they exist. And with the absence of people countering leftist ideas, without the possibility of any kind of debate, how can conservatives and Republicans take control back of the narrative when they have no voice to speak? And you could see a lot of the most strongest voices that allowed the former president of the United States to get into political office no longer having any kind of presence on social media, which is dominating everyday life for the average American. And as each supporter was taken down one by one, Donald Trump didn't do anything, didn't even speak out against it in many instances, until, of course, he was deleted from big tech social media himself. And along with that, his influence and his power, which, let's be honest here, has been fading ever since this happened. Google, after the election of the former president of the United States, literally had meetings saying we cannot allow this to happen ever again. And I think it's fair to say that they have created a situation where it won't. And with censorship, and with ballot harvesting, mail-in ballots, censorship, and also gerrymandering, how will the Republicans ever win? Well, according to my opinion, I don't think they ever will. Will there be some kind of difference? Will there be some kind of change? Will there be some kind of intervention that allows free speech on the internet? Well, Twitter might allow us to have this possibility, but as you can see, Twitter is being attacked very seriously right now. Will the laws change in place when it comes to ballots in the United States? And I would say no, absolutely not. The Democratic Party looks like it will have the House, it will have the Senate, it will have the executive office. And why would they change a situation that allows them to have more power and authority over your life? They're the politicians in charge now, and why would a politician stop a policy that is working in their favor? And they won't. So I think it's fair to say, yeah, Republicans have no hope when it comes to this larger political landscape, outside of course, some kind of galvanizing new Pearl Harbor-like event that, of course, I'm currently on the lookout. I'm going to talk about that, plus a lot more on LukeUncensored.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know down in the comment section below. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.